Time of the Beast, posted by Viserion the 22nd of February 2021. Those who believe heard the image that every tree is recognized by its fruit, for a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. All of you are capable of quite correctly realizing that the fundamental feature of the vital activity of representatives of the animal world is based on survival exclusively at the expense of weak representatives, both of your own species and other types of all kinds of organisms. For those whom a person considers to the world of animals, this is really vital, and such their vital activity is elementarily controlled by harmony. The significance of the beast is characterized by its physical characteristics, which is expressed either by its bright colors or by its large size and physical strength, etc., which, if naturally necessary, it will readily demonstrate. All this is the fundamental path of the beast, whose egoistic sensual world is balanced in such a way that its physical manifestations do not go beyond the boundaries allowed by the harmony of nature. The predator will not show aggression if he is not clearly threatened and he is full. A characteristic feature of the vital activity of representatives of the animal world can be designated as the path of the beast. Only here the vital activity of a person is called upon to characterize not bestiality, but humanity. The path of the beast and the path of man have in their essence a very significant difference. The biological human body, although it is endowed with instincts by analogy with what all other representatives of the animal world have, but the very peculiarity of a person is called upon to be characterized not by physical data, as it is unambiguously called upon to occur in animals, but by the quality of his sensory world. The sensual world of a person is unique and is able to manifest itself with an unprecedented greater strength and breadth. Only now, if this unique potential is not brought to the necessary harmony, then all this power, as an excess force not provided for by the laws of the balance of nature, will inevitably be directed into the sphere of instinct activity. And then in what animals can feel the measure and easily keep themselves within the limits allowed by harmony, it is a person who will inevitably acquire a very strong predisposition to the desire to bring the satisfaction of his instincts to extremely ugly perversions. That is, for a person with such a predisposition, the importance of satisfying his egoistic desire will become so great that in his aspirations he will be able to allow himself to easily go beyond all acceptable, reasonable and safe limits. Within the framework of the harmony of the nature of the earth, such a circumstance can only mean that whoever a person imagines himself to be, with such flawed spiritual qualities, in usefulness he cannot even reach the level of representatives of the animal world. It is sad, but it should be truthfully admitted that human society on Earth is still stubbornly striving to hold on to the position of the most dangerous and harmful virus. In essence, a purely bestial need to assert their significance, which is really vital for animals. It is in humans, without competent spiritual formation, that it can express itself in the wildest proportions and consequences. All of you now have ample opportunity to witness the avalanche-like growing unrestrained revelry of all this abomination. And if society traditionally cultivates the need to prove and assert its significance, which is elementary seen in the manifestations of both a secular society and a religious one, then this can be interpreted as a symbolic phenomenon that uniquely characterizes such a society as striving to follow the path of the beast. Unreasonable, inadequately manifested aggression in relationships in such a society will be taken for granted. I think that in such a connection it will not be difficult to correctly characterize the entire history of human life as the time of the beast. But this should not always be so, for this is a clearly expressed pathology in the development of human society. The path of man is absolutely incompatible with even a small bit of the need to demonstrate one's egoistic significance, which directly includes any attempts to somehow emphasize either one's supposedly higher or advantageous position, or some kind of inferiority of someone else. Any attempt in thoughts, words or any other actions to designate their supposedly higher significance in relation to someone is an unambiguous sign of a narrow-mindedness of mind and spiritual scarcity. We're coming, man. Isn't it time to seriously attend to the need to start to move away from the path of the beast? The less animal you have, the more human there will be. But in order for this to happen, now all of you need to thoroughly reconsider your understanding of the peculiarities of spiritual development. For the peculiarities of spiritual development are not directly related to any supposedly spiritual practices, rituals and other established traditional primitive ideas about God. Spiritual development actually includes any efforts of a person that he allows himself to show in relation to any manifestations, both people and the entire surrounding reality. But above all, the most important thing is how exactly you react to the manifested actions of any other person in any circumstances. Exactly where you began to feel embarrassment and dissatisfaction with the manifestations of a person, it is there that the next correction of your personal spiritual values begins. From how you allow yourself to react to something in the actions of those with whom you came in contact, the processes of either development or degradation will immediately manifest in you. And this has absolutely nothing to do with how much and interestingly you talk about God or how carefully and often you perform various rituals. Therefore, spiritual development is akin to the exact sciences and concerns the most favorable efforts that you need to show in relation to something with which you came in contact in certain circumstances. This law is the same for all people and does not depend on their national or any other specific features of beliefs. Since for all, without exception, people on earth, God is one, and therefore they can develop normally only by making competent efforts in moving together in one extremely accurate direction. At all times, you all, as a rule, strive to be guided by selfish motives, which was natural and inevitable, making all kinds of tragedies impossible to avoid. Such a pernicious tendency, although extremely difficult, is now vital to change. And it is possible. Over the past 30 years without a year, I have already managed to give all of you an unprecedented amount of necessary knowledge regarding human behavioral characteristics. The limitations of this volume depend solely on your ability to touch on something new from your life. In the meantime, I have to expect when you will stop being so stubbornly clever and conducting completely stupid discussions concerning both my personality and all kinds of sacred topics. I dare to assure you that regarding all this, you do not yet have any correct ideas at all. In your judgments, you still have the opportunity to rely on extremely primitive traditional images and interpretations formed by the medieval level of consciousness. That predictably became fertile ground for the violent development of atheism. The favorable development of your destiny now depends on how quickly one of you will be able to get out of the pernicious embrace of the rapidly increasing and uncontrollably spreading avalanche of lawlessness, lies, and inhumanity. And this now directly depends on your ability to make reasonable efforts to objectively comprehend the knowledge provided to you and make appropriate efforts to restrain yourself from the harmful temptations to harden your heart. The choice should be made only by you.